Hello there, and it's good to have you join us on the news on NTA International at 7. I am Abdul Malik Adio. First, the headlines. President Buhari orders Nigerian armed forces to fish out and eliminate armed bandits, undermining efforts at ensuring security of the country. National Hajj Commission of Nigeria commences airlift of pilgrims from Saudi Arabia. And Sudanese faction signs agreement accord on transitional government. President Muhammadu Buhari has given a marching order to the Nigerian Armed Forces to do whatever is necessary towards fishing out and total eliminating armed bandit and other criminal elements, undermining efforts at ensuring peace and security of the country. The president gave the order at the Katsina airport while addressing troops deployed to keep the peace in Zamfara and other neighboring states under Operation Aradin Daji. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has the details.
Operation Hadarin Daji came into being on the 10th of May this year to replace what used to be known as Operation Sharan Daji. Records show that since its inauguration, remarkable strides have been recorded in the renewed onslaught against armed banditry, kidnapping, and other heinous crimes in Zamfara state and the neighboring communities. But President Muhammadu Buhari, who recently visited victims of such atrocious acts in Batsari and 7 other frontline local government areas of Katsina State, is worried that the criminal elements are still having a field day. Addressing a detachment of the officers, soldiers, and airmen deployed to the theater of operations, the president was emphatic that Nigerians deserve peace and that must be given to them as a matter of right.
And constitutionally, that is our job, the military. I don't think we should spare the bandits. As soon as we identify them, we should pursue them wherever they are and eliminate them. They are a nuisance. Peace-loving Nigerians deserve a peaceful environment. As the Commander-in-Chief, I believe you are capable of doing it.
While promising to sustain efforts at enhancing the welfare and well-being of the troops as well as the supply of the right operational equipment, President Buhari, however, warned against collateral damage. He said those that have nothing to do with the heinous crimes must not be harmed.
I appreciate your efforts, but we can do much more. I have given you the orders through your high commands. I don't want any bandits spared. I wish you the best of luck, and please, my personal regards to all your families whom you have been away for some times. The earlier you finish with the rebels or bandits, the earlier you join your families and enjoy a normal life.
The president donated 2 bulls to the troops as a moral booster. In the meantime, President Muhammadu Buhari, who was seen off at the Umaru Musa Yaradua Airport by Governor Aminu Bello Masari of Katsina State, has since returned to the nation's capital, Abuja. The president observed the Salah holidays in his native home of Daura, after which he performed some official engagements across Katsina State. In Abuja, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
And President Muhammadu Buhari has congratulated former President General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida on his 78th birthday. In a message to the former head of state, President Muhammadu Buhari said, and I quote, "On behalf of the Federal Executive Council, my family, and all Nigerians, please accept my warm felicitation on your 78th birthday. On this special day of your life, the reminiscence of your courage and invaluable service to the army in protecting the sovereignty of the country comes to the fore. Thank you for the role of a statesman you are playing in the affairs of the nation and of court." In a statement by the Senior Special Assistant to the President at Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, the President prayed to Allah to continue to increase the health of the former President and grant him the strength to give his best to his family and the nation as he aged gracefully, adding that the country will continue to look up to him for guidance and wisdom. As humanitarian workers all over the globe prepare ahead of August 19, 2019 Humanitarian Day celebration, activities marking the celebration in Nigeria has begun with an awareness walk through the major streets of Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. The awareness walk was organized by the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, in collaboration with United Nations and other developmental partners. Ilyasu Ali Yakubu reports.
Humanitarian crisis directly affects more than 140 million people in 37 countries of the world, and more than 65 million of these people have been displaced from their homes as a result of violent conflicts, civil wars, and natural disasters. In attending to the humanitarian needs of these people, the humanitarian workers risk losing their lives. As a result, many have been killed and others traumatized. 19 August of every year is set aside to commemorate the gallantry of these humanitarian heroes across the world. The 2019 celebration has as its theme celebrating women humanitarians to bring a unique perspective to the work through their understanding of the specific needs and priority of girls and women. Speakers at the celebration identified women as being active in every aspect of humanitarian action, which in effect makes them more vulnerable to the challenge.
Humanitarian workers globally are exposed to a lot of risk. Sometimes they are faced with extreme threats that affect their survival, especially in disaster situations such as violent conflicts. Therefore, this call for collaboration, cooperation and coordination providing safety in the course of humanitarian services has become inevitable.
That we will seize each and every opportunity possible to raise awareness and understanding of the work humanitarian actors do, of the humanitarian principle and the humanity guiding us.
The soldier was a civilian before he became a soldier. And after a retirement, he returned back to the civil society. We recognize the vulnerability of women and the indigents everywhere there is conflict.
The women humanitarian workers are considered veritable tools in extending global humanitarian access in parts of the world to reach vulnerable women and girls. In Abuja, Ilyasu Ali Yakubu, NTA News.
Now, Adamawa State Government has constituted a committee to facilitate the voluntary repatriation of 4,000 Nigerian refugees from Cameroon Republic to Douare Transit Camp in Yola. Yusuf Jika, on an inspection visit to the camp, reports that all necessary arrangements have been put in place to start receiving the refugees from the 21st of August.
Preparatory to the commencement of voluntary repatriation of Nigerian refugees from Cameroon who fled the country due to activities of insurgents in the northeast, the Douare Transit Camp in Yola is wearing a new look. NTA News observed that all necessary facilities required to include security, healthcare facilities, kitchen, provision of water and electricity as well as toilets are being put in place for the well-being of the expected returnees.
We have fixed the electrical fittings, the sanitary fittings and the electrical fittings. They are all in place.
The Executive Secretary, Adamawa State Emergency Management Agency, Suleiman Aminu, said out of the 4,000 refugees, only 250 are from Adamawa State and the process of their reintegration to the society has commenced.
Setting of a committee, and this committee will also aid in receiving these returnees, and then more importantly reintegrating them into their various communities. We are working seriously to sort out and then get them reintegrated properly into their communities.
It could be recalled that a technical working group led by the Federal Commissioner, National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, Sadia Umar Farouk, has concluded arrangements for the voluntary repatriation of 4,000 Nigerian refugees from Minao camp in Cameroon via Yola International Airport and subsequent reintegration to their respective communities. In Yola, Yusuf Jika, NTA News.
And the federal government is aggressively combating all forms of criminality in the country's waterways. The latest step in achieving this is the inauguration of the C41 Operational Center dedicated to intelligence, monitoring and activities of Nigerian territorial waters. Michael Olaleye reports.
Although Nigeria experienced a decrease in reported piracy incidents in the fourth quarter of 2019, but it is still a volatile hotspot for maritime piracy, which accounts for $3 billion loss annually, according to the United Nations. Aside impeding the country's economic growth, it is a major threat in the quest to harness the blue economy for national development. Little wonder, the federal government committed $195 million to the Integrated Maritime Security System known as the Deep Blue Project.
A C4I system operator, we have intelligence system operator, we have shift supervisors, everyone.
This is the C4I Operational Center, described as the heart and brain of the Deep Blue Project, capable of monitoring activities up to 200 nautical miles off the coast of Nigeria territorial waters.
When we see you are carrying out any illegal activity, we can easily command any of our platforms out there to proceed towards there to intercept.
The Deep Blue Project has a similar version in Angola that has conducted 283 operations, 86 detention and reduced illegal bunkering by 32%.
There is so much in the blue economy. If people are afraid to come to your area, you will see shipping going down and down and down and down. And or the few that will agree to come will charge high freight. But more importantly, is to secure the waterways.
The other stage of the project, which will be completed in 2020, include deployment of helicopters and battle-ready ships. In Lagos, Michael Olaleye, NT News.
Now, the recent decision by the federal government to ban forex for food imports is attracting commendation. One of such is from Governor Ben Ayade of Cross River State, who describes this policy as an economic roadmap for the country and a source of boosting local food production. Umo Basi edit report.
The federal government, in its bid to stimulate growth in the agricultural sector and reduce overdependence on the oil sector, has come up with various policies to boost food production. The recent is President Buhari's directive to the Central Bank of Nigeria to stop funding food imports. This, Governor Ben Ayade says, will help Cross River State in its food technology drive, which has led to the establishment of a food processing factory, which is to produce fresh meals within a minute.
Indeed, you are talking to me inside a food processing factory. Cross River State is building a rice processing mill, a rice processing plant, and an instant noodle, which can use either wheat or use rice. Cross River State is migrating into a food technology kind of research work.
Governor Ayade stressed the need for Nigerians to only eat homegrown food for healthy living, lamenting the large expanse of land left uncultivated in the country.
The president must also, with the same expedition, ensure that those who have made a choice of farming, states that have decided to bring value to his policy statements, must also be supported, not by loans, because most of the states have reached their maximum carrying capacity.
The Calabar Food Processing Factory, which is technologically driven, is said to be the first in Africa. In Calabar, Umo Basidate, NTA News.
And you're watching the news on NTA International, reaching you live from Abuja, the nation's capital. The news continue just after this break.
Call of change, stand up, Nigeria. Change is here and it's going to stay. Change begins with you. Oh yeah, make we go. Go to so let the change begin from within. Look at you, Ogeruola. Change begins with you and me.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Many thanks for staying tuned. Now for a review of headlines the outgoing week, let's join Ilyasu Ali Yakubu for details.
Glad to have you join me on this segment of the news, where we bring you reports that made headlines during the week. We begin with the activities marking this year's Eid al-Kabir celebration, which continued across different groups, seizing the opportunity of the public holidays to pay salah homage to political and religious leaders. Receiving members of Progressive Governors Forum on salah homage, President Muhammadu Buhari directed the Central Bank of Nigeria to desist from issuing any foreign exchange to individuals or groups identified to be sabotaging the nation's food security program through the importation of rice and other food items into the country, and also ordered more drastic measures against smuggling activities. Away from Salah celebration, the federal government said the nation's march to greatness is just a matter of time, as it is keeping with the implementation of the next level agenda. President Muhammadu Buhari said that these while inaugurating one of the road projects executed under the restoration agenda of the Masari administration in Katsina State, and during a visit to Basari in Katsina State to commiserate with those adversely affected by what he called senseless killings and maiming and destructions of property by armed bandits in the area. President Muhammadu Buhari urged Nigerians, especially victims of the various acts of criminality in the country, to exercise patience and have more faith in his administration's genuine effort at bringing to an end the worrisome situation. At the official flag-off of the Ogun State Job Portal in Abeokuta, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo said the federal government is committed to job creation and the empowerment of youth for employment of 1 million youth through the Empower program. Still in the outgoing week, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission EFCC arraigned Abdullahi Babalele and Oyekben Giwa Osagi, both associates of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, before Justice Nicholas Owebo of the Federal High Court, Lagos. They were charged for money laundering to the tune of $140,000 and $2 million. Still in the week under review, the leader of the proscribed Islamic movement in Nigeria, Ibrahim El-Zakzaky, and his wife Zinat left the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, for medical treatment in India. Indian authorities have indicated willingness to return Ibrahim El-Zakzaky to Nigeria following his antics, unruling and uncompromising attitude since he arrived the country for medical. The leader of the proscribed Islamic movement in Nigeria, Sheikh El-Zakzaky, and his wife Zinat have, however, returned to Nigeria. That's it on this week's edition of the program. My name is Ilyasu Ali Yakubu. The news continues.
Now, the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria has commenced airlift of pilgrims from Saudi Arabia. Chairman of the commission, Abdullahi Mukhtar, stated this at the post-Arafat meeting with key partners of the Nigerian 2019 Hajj contingent, who rated the exercise a success. Lamin Ali has the details.
We will start, God willing, with those states that came in first. That's Katsina and Lagos states. And Max Air has mobilized to commence the operation with Katsina. Flynas has also positioned to commence with Lagos before the end of the closure of Jeddah Airport, which is likely to be around 17th of September. We hope all Nigerians will be back home, inshallah.
The 2019 Hajj exercise witnessed the convergence of more than 2 million people in Saudi Arabia from across the Muslim world, more than 60,000 of them Nigerians.
I congratulate each and every one of you who is here for performing the obligations which the Almighty Allah put on us to do.
As usual, overcrowding remains a challenge in view of limited space.
A space that is meant to accommodate
about 950,000 capacity today is accommodating over 2 million can never be adequate for everybody. So we have to continue to devise means and ways on how to ensure that the beneficiaries of our beddings within the tents are genuine pilgrims.
Notably, Saudi authorities have over the years evolved measures to tackle the challenge in order to ease activities for pilgrims. The 2019 Hajj medical team recorded 13 deaths in Makkah, Saudi Arabia. Lami Ali, NTA News.
And to foreign news, Sudan's ruling military council and civilian opposition alliance signed a landmark power-sharing deal. The agreement ushers in a new governing council, including both the civilians and generals, to pave the way forward towards elections and civilian rule. The deal was signed by the Emiti and Lieutenant General Abdul Fattah Abdul Rahman Bahan for the military council and Ahmed Rabe for the Alliance for Freedom and Change umbrella group of pro-democracy protesters. Under the deal, a sovereign council consisting of 6 civilians and 5 generals will run the country until elections. The two sides agreed to rotate the chairmanship of the council for just over 3 years. The Prime Minister of Ethiopia and Egypt and the South Sudanese president were among regional leaders who attended Saturday's signing ceremony. Sudan has seen pro-democracy protest and repression since longtime ruler Omar al-Bashir was ousted in April. In another news, Libya has reopened its airport in the main southern city of Saban, which has been closed since January 2014 due to security problems. According to sources speaking to local media outlets in Libya, a commercial flight has landed from the main eastern city in Sabah Airport. Now moving on, President Muhammadu Buhari has sympathized with former National Legal Advisor of the All Progressives Congress, Dr. Muiz Banire, SAN, on the loss of his mother, Alaja Sharat Banire. In a message by the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, the President said no matter how old mother are, their departure is always keenly felt, and urged Dr. Banire, who is also Chairman, Asset Management Corporation, AMCON, to take heart and be comforted in the fact that the departed lived to a ripe old age and left behind worthy sons and daughters who are accomplished in different areas of endeavors. And now to sports. Now,